Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Flying Grunt, the story of Lieutenant General Richard E. Carey, United States Marine Corps retired, by Alan E. Mesches, narrated by Chris Monteiro. Preface. Up from the enlisted ranks, Marine Second Lieutenant Richard Edward Carey led platoons and served as intelligence officer in Korea. After participating in the Inchon landing in September 1950, Carey led his troops to Seoul. 2 months later, as an intelligence officer, Carey learned where Chinese Communist Forces, CCF, were about to attack on the Hagaru-ri perimeter in North Korea. Outnumbered 8-1, enduring sub-zero weather and blinding snow, at East Hill near the Chosin Reservoir, Carey hurled grenades at the Chinese. Holding East Hill aided the Marines as they broke through the Chinese trap and moved to the port at Hungnam. On March 23, 1951, a badly wounded Carey refused treatment at an aid station. "I have a job to do," he said. Despite mortar wounds, Carey continued leading his troops. It was his 7th near-death experience in 189 days. Finally, Carey's commander ordered him to an aid station. While his actions earned Carey a Silver Star, the wounds ended his time in Korea. Always wanting to fly, Carey won a slot in Marine Corps aviation and earned his wings as a fighter pilot. In 1967, Carey again faced Communist forces. In Vietnam, he flew 204 sorties, mostly as an F-4 fighter pilot. Carey earned the Distinguished Flying Cross and 16 air medals during the Vietnam War. Believing that his career had stalled as a lieutenant colonel in 1970, Carey looked at retirement. An opportunity to earn his college degree relaunched Carey's career. Over the next 9 years, Carey earned 4 promotions and rose to 3-star general. Carey led the evacuation of some 100,000 South Vietnamese out of Saigon to the United States. Carey completed his 38-year military career as commanding general at Quantico, Virginia. He continued serving in retirement as a member of an Ohio governor's cabinet and led the effort to build monuments honoring those who served at the Chosin Reservoir. Many would call Lieutenant General Richard E. Carey, USMC, retired, a warrior. That is fact. This book will cover both the warrior and the human sides of General Carey. 100 hours of face-to-face meetings with the general, Carey's papers, speech copies, oral histories, Marine Corps documents, and interviews with fellow Marines and family members, along with newspaper stories, went into the research for this book. The general answered tough and deeply personal questions. No subject was off limits. The general wanted the book to be right. I hope that I met his standard. Chapter 1. The Early Years. According to the general, his family had a long history of military service. The Careys descended from Irish immigrants who arrived in Massachusetts in the early 1700s. Eventually, they migrated to the Ohio Territory prior to statehood. The general's ancestors included 2 Union soldiers who served in Ohio units during the American Civil War. One died at Shiloh, Tennessee, and the other died at Chickamauga, a campaign fought in Tennessee and Georgia. A member of the Carey family served in the Spanish-American War. The general's father, Timothy Francis Carey, served in France during World War I. Many of his cousins served in World War II. The general's father entered service in July 1917 from his home in Ironton, Ohio, located along the Ohio River in the southeastern part of the state. A troop ship took him to France where he served in Saint-Mihiel and Meuse-Argonne, earning promotions to the rank of corporal. Like so many doughboys, Timothy Carey was a mustard gas victim from his World War I service in France. The mustard gas disabled Timothy Francis Carey. The effects of mustard gas ended his career as a teacher and prevented him from rejoining the Army during World War II. Limited employment opportunities, combined with the economic tumult of the Great Depression, hampered his opportunities to earn a living. He married Marie Schlosser in 1922 when she was 18 and he was 26, according to the 1930 U.S. Census. The couple's daughter Rosalie was born in 1923. 5 years later, on January 10, 1928, the future general entered the world in Columbus, Ohio. Although Timothy Carey tried a couple of business ventures as a contractor and running a painting business, he ended up with little money and often had his family living in rooming houses. Pride prevented him from seeking help. They struggled on until, when Rosalie was 14 and Richard 9, Marie walked out on the family. His childhood environment helped create a value system for young Richard, who would grow up to become a highly decorated 3-star Marine Corps general. For 2 years, Richard Carey lived on his maternal grandparents' 300-acre farm in Grove City, Ohio, milking cows and undertaking other farm chores. During summers, he carried water jugs for the farm workers while riding a pony. During one stretch, Timothy Carey and his children lived with Carey's paternal grandfather, John Carey, in Columbus. Carey described his father as very intelligent and very caring, adding that he took care of me. He said he would have wanted his father in his platoon. Carey's father did not remarry, but his mother did. Carey did not see Marie again until he joined the Marine Corps. Carey's mother and second husband lived in the Cleveland area. With her second husband, Robert Dietrich, Marie had 2 sons, twins, and 4 daughters. Dietrich, who worked for Coca-Cola, gave 12-year-old Richard an opportunity to earn money at Ohio State football games in Columbus, picking up Coca-Cola bottles during the games. During the years following the Carey's divorce, Rosalie stayed in touch with her mother. In the decades that followed, all of Marie Schlosser Carey Dietrich's children connected with the general after his return from the Korean War. He said that he wanted to see his mother and began communicating with his siblings. Eventually, one of his half-brothers, Gerald, nicknamed Blackie because of his wavy black hair, and 17 years the general's junior, served in the Marine Corps for 4 years, including a tour of duty in Vietnam. "Now we're very close. There's no half-brother or half-sister," said General Carey. In 2021, the general's sister Bev flew from her home in Florida to spend 2 weeks with the general in Texas. She calls him every day to check on him. General Carey said that his brothers and sisters respected him. Early indicators of General Carey's resolve were evident when he started attending high school. Determining that West High School offered the best opportunity for him, Carey walked a round trip of 10 miles a day until the spring term of his sophomore year of high school, when his father moved the family to within 2 miles of the school. Due to his participation in varsity sports, along with other extracurricular activities, Carey seldom came home during daylight. He became both a good student and an athlete. At West High, he won the respect of peers when he earned leadership roles as the team captain in 3 sports. During his junior year, Carey captained both the wrestling and track teams. In addition, he played halfback on the football team as a sophomore. His running ability caught the attention of the cross-country coach, and he became a distance runner on that team, captaining it as a sophomore. He won both track and cross-country events at the city and district levels, and also participated in state meets. His best event was the half-mile. "I always loved to run," he said. For 2 years, Carey took part in the Spanish club and earned membership into the W Association for the school's varsity athletes who earned their letter. While in high school, he developed his strong Christian faith. He served as president of High Y at West High, an affiliate of the YMCA. Carey also was president of the Columbus-wide High Y. Participation in the wrestling team would have long-term implications for Carey. He wrestled as a 165-pound middleweight. In one meet, West High did not have heavyweight. Rather than have the heavyweight match end in a forfeit, Carey stepped up and volunteered to wrestle the opposing school's heavyweight wrestler. While he battled his much heavier rival, Carey lost the match after his opponent put him in a body lock. He was hurt, but did not know at the time how badly he was injured. After the match, Carey went to his girlfriend's house. When leaving to go home, he passed out from what he later learned was internal bleeding and ended up in the hospital. The young athlete later returned to a track meet, anchored the mile relay that his team won, and then became sick again. Doctors determined that he had suffered a ruptured kidney. Surgeons who met with Carey and his father recommended an operation to remove the damaged organ. The doctor told him, "Well, your chances are, pretty good, but I can't really say that you're going to completely heal because it's pretty badly torn." Demonstrating both his resolve and stubbornness, the 16-year-old refused to let the doctors operate. Carey firmly believed that he would heal and would not give up his kidney. He also acknowledged that he was headstrong at that point in his life. Because of the damaged kidney, he recuperated at home. Unable to attend classes at West High School, Carey homeschooled himself during his senior year by getting his assignments and books brought to him. Not only did he complete his final year of high school at home, but Carey also earned membership in the National Honor Society. Requirements for National Honor Society membership included scholarship, leadership, service, and character. Those traits stayed with Carey at each juncture of his life. General Carey told on himself when he said that he originally tried to enlist in the Marine Corps in 1944. At age 16, the recruiter told him that he was too young to enlist without parental permission. That day, he was late getting home. When asked why he was uncharacteristically late, young Carey admitted that he attempted to enlist in the Marine Corps. Smiling when he shared the story 77 years later, General Carey acknowledged that his 21-year-old sister was very upset with her brother about that. Rosalie had the dual role of big sister and surrogate mother. The general also described the Marine who declined to let him sign up for the Marine Corps as an honest recruiter. In June 1945, Carey and his fellow West High seniors received their diplomas at their graduation ceremony. While the war in Europe had ended with Germany's surrender on May 7th, Japan continued to fight in the Pacific. Many American soldiers serving in the European Theater of Operations, ETO, boarded troop ships that took them across the Atlantic, through the Panama Canal, into the Pacific. They headed for Japan during the summer. In July, just a few weeks after graduating from West High, 17-year-old Richard Carey entered military service. That began a 38-year career that would take him around the globe as he rose from a raw recruit to Lieutenant General in the United States Marine Corps, USMC. Carey explained that he might have enlisted sooner, but he and Rosalie needed to arrange care for their ailing father. The young enlistee knew that he wanted to be a pilot, so he signed up for the Navy's V-5 program, which offered recruits 2 years of training and a path toward becoming a military pilot. The Navy planned to conduct Carey's training at the University of Cincinnati, one of many college campuses hosting military instruction during World War II. More than 60,000 Navy pilots earned their wings between 1942 and 1945. However, with the end of World War II came the close of the V-5 training. The Navy did not need any more flyers. Carey declined what he termed the Navy's strong push for him to enter their officer candidate school at Ohio State University, located in his hometown of Columbus. He accepted a discharge and for 2 months drove a truck for retail merchants' delivery in Columbus during the busy holiday season. Carey still felt obligated to the country. He wanted to serve and earn the GI Bill college funding program. He also had a long-term goal of becoming a medical doctor. He recruited 4 friends to join him, and with his buddies went to the Marine Corps recruiting station in Columbus. They all got through the verbal test, then Carey learned that all of the slots were full. Not deterred from joining the Marines, he took a train to Indianapolis where there were still slots. 3 of his 4 friends went to boot camp for basic training at the Marine Corps Training Depot at Parris Island, South Carolina. His friends started their training 2 days before Carey's arrival, and he did not see them while at Parris Island. Since 1915, Marine recruits have gone through boot camp at Parris Island. When asked how he did at boot camp, the future general quietly but proudly said, "I aced boot camp." He expressed pride in the fact that Marine Corps boot camp is at least 3 weeks longer than the Army's initial training. Despite the South Carolina heat and humidity, Carey said that he was in superb physical shape. Prior to entering the service, his preparation for track, cross-country, wrestling, and football, combined with his 4 to 10-mile round trips to school, contributed to his physical condition. He earned the slot of platoon guide during the 13 weeks of training in the summer of 1946. Selected by the drill instructor, D.I., Sergeant Kozak, the platoon guide served as the go-between with the D.I. and the platoon. The platoon guide also carried the unit guidon, or flag. Boot camp, especially his D.I., left a lifelong impression on the future lieutenant general instructor. He shared this memory of his D.I. "The Marine Corps teaches leadership. I remember in boot camp our D.I. pounded on that. I remember that. Old Kozak, Sergeant Kozak. If he walked in the room today, I would stand at attention." Carey's initial encounters with the Navy and Marine Corps demonstrated that his superiors saw leadership skills in a young man then only a few months past his 18th birthday. After 13 weeks in the Marine Corps at boot camp, leadership became part of the young private's core values. Leadership would carry him throughout his career. Overview of the Marine Corps. As a young man, Richard E. Carey entered a small and unique service with a rich history and tradition. Marines consider themselves the best. The Marine Corps continues to have an air, land, and sea component. These words from the Marine Corps hymn describe the members of the Corps. "We fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and sea, first to fight for right and freedom." After nearly 250 years of service, the Marine Corps remains the military's smallest service branch. There is no Marine Corps Academy. Graduates of the United States Naval Academy may choose to become officers in the Marine Corps. Awards and medals presented to Marines reference the Navy. The Marines' recruiting advertisements play on their smaller size as a unique selling proposition for candidates with this slogan: "Marines, the few, the proud." All Marine officers are riflemen, not career specialists. Officers who come from Officer Candidate School, Reserve Officer Training Corps programs, or the United States Naval Academy receive training on a wide range of military specialties at MCB Quantico, Virginia. Newly commissioned officers continue training through a lengthy program known as the Basic School, TBS. The Marine Corps became part of the U.S. military on November 10, 1775, some 7 months before the United States Declaration of Independence on July 4, 1776. Since then, Marines have answered the call in every conflict that faced their country. They have fought pirates along the Barbary coast and battled to the halls of Montezuma in Mexico. In the American Civil War, fought between 1861 and 1865, Union forces included Marines who fought at the Battle of Bull Run in Virginia. Other Marine units served with the Navy. Before World War I, Marines served in the Spanish-American War, Philippine insurrection, and the Boxer Rebellion in China. 9 years after the Wright brothers' first flight in 1903 at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, about 190 miles from MCB Camp Lejeune, Marines added aviation to their mission in 1912. In World War I, Marine aviators flew bombing runs over Belgium and France. On the ground in France during World War I, the 4th Marine Brigade, known as Devil Dogs, fought in battles at Belleau Wood, Soissons, Saint-Mihiel, Blanc-Mont, and Meuse-Argonne. Battles across islands in the Pacific brought victory to the United States in World War II and more recognition to the Marine Corps. Marines fought and died on Guadalcanal, Bougainville, Tarawa, New Britain, Saipan, Guam, Peleliu, Okinawa, and Iwo Jima. The famed photograph of Marines raising the American flag over Mount Suribachi on Iwo Jima captured the hearts and minds of Americans. In Ohio, young Richard Carey learned that older brothers of his friends served on Iwo Jima. "They were my heroes," he said in 2021. During the second half of the 20th century, Marines served in Korea and Vietnam. In the Korean War, Marines, including Second Lieutenant Richard E. Carey, landed at Inchon on September 15, 1950, drove to take Seoul, and heroically battled sub-zero temperatures along with hordes of CCF soldiers at the Chosin Reservoir. In Vietnam, after withdrawal of troops in 1973, Marines guarded U.S. assets, including the embassy in Saigon. Then Brigadier General Richard E. Carey led the evacuation of Vietnamese refugees and embassy staff in 1975. The last 4 military deaths connected to the war in Vietnam were Marines. In 1983, a terrorist truck bombing in Lebanon killed 241 service members, including 220 Marines, 18 sailors, and 3 soldiers. The attack hit their barracks. Following the 9/11 attacks in 2001, Marines served in Iraq and Afghanistan. During the August 2021 evacuation of Americans and Afghanistan supporters of the United States, 13 servicemen and women died. 11 of the 13 were members of the Marine Corps. 3 core values drive the Marine Corps: honor, courage, and commitment. For a Marine, honor means honor guides Marines to exemplify the ultimate in ethical and moral behavior. Never lie, never cheat or steal. Abide by an uncompromising code of integrity. Respect human dignity and respect others. Honor compels Marines to act responsibly, to fulfill our obligations, and to hold ourselves and others accountable for every action. Courage requires. Courage is the mental, moral, and physical strength ingrained in Marines. It carries us through the challenges of combat and aids in overcoming fear. The inner strength enables us to do what is right, to adhere to a higher standard of personal conduct, and to make tough decisions under stress and pressure. Commitment requires. Commitment is the spirit of determination and dedication found in Marines. It leads to the highest order of discipline for individuals and units. The ingredient enables constant dedication to corps and country. It inspires the unrelenting determination to achieve victory in every endeavor. All Marines live by the Latin phrase, semper fidelis. That translates into the words, always faithful. Marines shorten the phrase to semper fi. Those words end meetings and conversations. Written response includes SF. A higher percentage of total Marines lost their lives in World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War than the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. In Vietnam, for example, the Marines accounted for 25% of total deaths, although they made up just 9% of the total U.S. force. Marines have not always been respected within the military. The Marine Corps comes under the Secretary of the Navy. No Marine held a 4-star rank until World War II. Even President Harry S. Truman showed a lack of respect for the Marine Corps. On August 29, 1950, President Truman received a letter from California Republican Congressman Gordon L. McDonough urging him to place a Marine on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. President Truman responded with an attack on the Marine Corps. In his reply to Congressman McDonough, the President said, "For your information, the Marine Corps is the Navy's police force, and as long as I am president, that is what it will remain. They have a propaganda machine that is about equal to Stalin's." The following week, President Truman issued a written apology and addressed the Marine Corps League's September 6th national meeting in Washington, D.C. As he introduced the President to the Marine Corps League, General Clifford B. Cates, Commandant, said, "We in the Marine Corps appreciate courage, especially personal courage." President Truman told the audience, "When I make a mistake, I try to correct it." Sea Marine. From Paris Island, Carey's next assignment took him to San Diego, California, for Marine Sea School, where he became a seagoing Marine. On board ship, the Sea Marines Detachment, according to Carey, provided discipline of the Navy. Sea Marines ran the brig that served as the ship's jail. Carey's first post-training orders put him on the USS Boxer, an aircraft carrier that deployed out of the Bay Area in Oakland, California. On board the ship, Private Carey ran the brig, served as company clerk since he knew how to type, helped run the ship's store, and was the orderly for the ship's captain and admiral. The Boxer was a command ship with a fleet admiral on board. The captain commands the ship, with or without senior officers aboard. An orderly served in the role of an assistant. Carey stood watch outside the admiral and captain's quarters in case they needed anything. He also accompanied the captain when he attended events on shore. Carey's responsibilities as the company clerk included personnel assignments, administration, and payroll. He also was responsible for clothing, equipping, and feeding 100 men. In addition, Carey captained the gun top, where he led 12 men in preparation for air defense combat. In 1947, according to the general's papers, he passed the corporal's exam with a score of 99%. No wonder the general saved that test paper. While serving on the Boxer, Carey won the ship's middleweight boxing championship. He had learned to box at a YMCA in Columbus, where he often worked out while in high school. His YMCA coach told him that he could be a boxer. Commissioned in 1945, the Boxer served on what naval historians called normal peacetime duty in the Pacific, while Carey's detachment was on the ship. The young Marine's brief time in the Navy's V-5 program had convinced him that he wanted to fly. While on the Boxer, the future Marine aviator saw aircrew members up close, which only solidified that desire. By 1948, the one-time three-sport high school captain who became platoon guide in boot camp had moved quickly through the ranks. Shortly after he reached his 20th birthday, Carey had already advanced from private to sergeant in only 2 years. Carey's leadership skills drew the notice of his detachment first sergeant, James Gillis, as well as his commander, Major Warren Morris. First Sergeant Gillis taught Carey to never forget my origin from the enlisted ranks or dedication to my troops. He also thought enough of Carey to trust him as a babysitter for his 8-year-old son Jim. The younger Gillis would go on to join the Marine Corps, make the service a career, and retire as a full colonel. Major Morris told then Sergeant Carey, "You ought to be an officer." That conversation took place shortly after an eventful evening when Carey accompanied the ship's captain, Stanhope C. Ring, when he went ashore in a gig. The gig, known as the captain's taxi, was a smaller craft that took the captain, a naval captain equals the rank of a Marine full colonel, from the ship to shore. As the pair returned to the Boxer in the evening, the gig struck a sandbar. Corporal Carey called an enlisted sailor on board who helped him work the gig around the sandbar to get the captain back on the ship. The captain told Major Morris that Carey was a good Marine, a leader. Initially, the young sergeant declined Morris's offer, telling the major about his plan to go to college and then become a doctor. The major persisted. The conversation lasted about an hour, and Carey finally relented. Morris wrote a letter of recommendation that gained Carey entry into what he called a program for a special type of Marine. After getting the recommendation of Major Morris, Carey agreed to apply to Officer Candidate School, OCS. He took and passed several tests. Within a month, he headed from California to Quantico, Virginia, about 35 miles south of Washington, D.C. Quantico covers more than 55,000 acres and is one of the Marine Corps' largest installations. Just before his OCS class began, Carey suffered an attack of appendicitis. He underwent surgery in the base hospital and spent 3 days recuperating there. By the time he had recovered, the OCS class was already underway. In Carey's case, school leaders decided that this special type of Marine could skip the 90-day training based on his record and experience. Over the next 3 months, Carey served on guard duty and worked on special projects. He then joined the class for a challenging 9-month training program known as the Basic School, TBS, as a second lieutenant. All newly commissioned Marine lieutenants went through the TBS program, exposing them to everything in the Marine Corps. There were more than 300 lieutenants in that TBS class.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?